He's an attention getter.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Mountaineer Locker Room, Then and Now. I'm Greg Christ, along with a host of co-hosts. Of course, my forever co-host, Frank Fear. Matt Thomas joining us tonight, along with Dave Gorby, who you all already know. We appreciate you tuning in. We're coming to you tonight, a live remote from COLASANTE'S in Morgantown. We're in Westover, and we thought this would be a good time to come up with all the activities going on around the city tonight and tomorrow. And we hope to have a few special guests for you as the night rolls on. Frank, busy time in Morgantown, a lot going on. Should be a fun night.
It is, and it's exciting. You think that after the basketball season is over that maybe it quiets down, but the Mountaineer baseball team is hosting Houston tonight in the first of a 3-game series, and there's all kinds of excitement with respect to the Mountaineer men's basketball team in terms of putting together the roster for next year, and of course tomorrow is the spring festival for the football team, and of course Coach Rodriguez is really loading a lot into this. He wants this to be sort of really the first game of the season.
Yeah, he's talked about that and said that. Basically that's what this is. And, a lot of them have changed their approach on this spring game. Before the worry was poaching players and that sort of thing. But I think since the portal rules have changed a little bit, more of them now are going back to having their spring game. And I think basically he said, this is going to be we're going to be playing football. So we need to see what these people are capable of. So, Matt, I don't know what your thoughts on that, but it sounds like he's getting them geared up to play.
Yes, he is. I'm super pumped up for it. I mean, we were talking earlier, me and Frank were especially about basketball. And we'll get on that topic more in here in just a little bit. But tomorrow, the focus is on football. We've got a lot of exciting things coming along. And Coach Rodriguez, I think he's built the right relationships with the right people. And I think we're going to see a lot of good things in Morgantown coming this fall for football season.
I think we're all excited about it. Dave, you're the inside man on this stuff. You you have forgotten more about recruits and transfers than Frank and I and Matt probably will ever know. What's your take on how we know the rankings as far as portal rankings and that sort of thing? I'll let Frank explain how that works here in just a minute. People get a lot of confusion about the way you're ranked as far as recruiting goes. But what's your thoughts about what he's done so far with the portal?
Yeah. It obviously was. Till we got a couple more guys, who knows? But it had to be the number one thing after watching last season.
Yep. Definitely.
And on tomorrow, obviously they're going to have live action tomorrow because he's trying to build that depth chart. Now, what we see a lot of Fox or Hawkins, probably not as much because we kind of know those guys, kind of know what Cam Cook can do, but.
Having a little trouble hearing Dave, I believe, so we'll get that worked out and let you finish up your thought there, Dave. But, I think we're all, like you said, we don't expect to see certain people a lot because we know what they're capable of doing. We know where they're going to be playing, et cetera, et cetera. But, as you said, there's going to be a lot of new faces they want to take a look at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just the other day he was talking about, last year, you think, go back to the offensive line. How many guys do you think he was safe to feel put in there?
Yeah.
And the number he said, I think it was Wednesday, he said, was 11 guys.
Yeah.
That's pretty deep.
Yeah.
That's a lot deeper than we've been in a while.
We know he voiced a lot of frustration last year, after games over the line. I can recall him saying, you can't move the ball 2 feet, something's wrong. So he had a lot of frustration at the offensive line. So, that had to be one of his focuses in getting that straightened out. And from the sounds of it, there's some pretty good names in there, with the transfers and the high school recruits.
Yeah, right.
He's got some good folks coming in, and we just hope there's enough of them. I don't know if there's 11 of them or not, but I hope there's enough.
Yeah, that's – I'm trying to say, like you said, they went the high school route with the Kevin Brown kid. But the good thing is I think they brought in the godfather of zone blocking. I think that's another key point of them being better on that offensive line.
And to think about what Trickett does, he just doesn't zone you in at, say, left guard. He wants to see if you can play tackle.
Exactly.
He wants to see if you can play the center position. He wants to see if you can play the right guard position.
Yeah.
So he's trying to make you diverse as you can.
Yep.
And I think talk about the running game, I thought another area that they hit on pretty good was the tight end room.
Amen.
And like obviously we think of like Travis Kelce or somebody like, catching it, but like Rodriguez is using them as blockers, so that's going to be interesting to see too.
Yep.
Frank, I alluded to the rankings as far as the portal was concerned. West Virginia has some pretty lofty rankings in the portal and in recruiting. Explain how that works to folks so they'll understand. It's a little bit confusing to people.
Yeah. Well, thanks for asking that. And I'm referring to the formula used by On3, which is now combined with Rivals, and that's considered to be the sort of the gold standard of it. And I like the way they do it. And there was I don't want to use the word shock, but I think a very important result that came out on the basketball front this year. And the way they do it is that when we think about ranking, we think about Team A against Team B and Ohio State versus Penn State. And that's not the way they do it. What they do, it's an internal comparison. It's the players you've lost from last year's team. Doesn't make any difference if it's football or basketball.
Yeah.
And the players you're bringing in on the portal for this upcoming season. And West Virginia was right in the top 20 in football in terms of comparing the outgoing players who are going elsewhere, who could have stayed, and then the incoming players on the portal. And in basketball, when people saw it, I don't know if they did what I did, but I had to look at it twice. West Virginia was number 1.
Yeah.
Yes.
Iowa State was number 2.
That's what I was gonna
And
say.
again, they're comparing it from last year. And you got Miles Sadler, who is one of the
animal.
He's one of the biggest recruits West Virginia, I think, has ever had. This guy,
Absolutely.
National TV. Matt and I were talking about that before, and he's just going to be a great. Huff was absolutely a great guard. Miles Sadler. One of the things we got to keep our fingers crossed on the basketball side is he'll stay here more than 1 year. But
please.
both football and basketball is looking, I think, more solid than it has in quite some time. And, of course, we all know what's going on in baseball. I think we're number 15 now in baseball, and hopefully we'll sweep University of Houston. They're playing as we speak, as we do this. So that's basically how the formula works.
The pessimist in me wants to say, well, what that tells me is that we got rid of a lot of schmucks. Hopefully it means that we're bringing in some really good players.
That's right.
That's what we're hoping for. But, I shouldn't say that. I don't mean that derogatory to anybody.
No.
It's my feeble attempt at being humorous. So we'll skip over that. You mentioned the basketball team. We haven't had a chance to talk about the championship that we won.
Oh, man.
Yes.
And I know, a lot of people snarl their nose at things like that. Well, whatever. But, it's a good competition, good teams.
That's right.
I thought it was great. We talk about Huff, and you talk about, I'm not saying he struggled in conference play, but obviously teams knew how to play that guy.
Yes.
Against the screen, they jumped it, or they don't. They wanted to get the ball out of his hands. They didn't want to give him clean looks.
Yeah.
Why did those teams out west change that up?
They didn't know how to guard him, man.
It was amazing. It was just amazing to me. But, that helped us out.
That's right.
And the funny thing, you talk about transfer portal, it seems like the donors wrote an extra couple checks since we've won that thing. It's helping us out, like you said, number 1 in the conference.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean,
and we're not done.
Right,
I've seen we have a couple visits set up there, I think, right at the end of the weekend with the high school kid that played with he was the center for Miles Sadler, and then the Texas A&M backup guard. So, and that's not done there either. We're going to have more guys.
And getting Scylla from Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
Yeah.
has-
That's huge.
I mean, he has 3 more years.
Yes.
Bizak, who's a good wing, shoots the ball very well. He's got 1 year left.
Yeah.
But Silla coming from Mohamed Silla from Georgia Tech is huge because this is what we have next year is we haven't had for a while. 2 6'11" guys, one freshman, one sophomore. So you got 4 years left for one, 3 years left for another if they stick, and then you've got a tremendous point guard who can score, dish. It's very exciting, and I mean, I don't live in Morgantown, and I can feel it when I come back.
Yes.
You can feel it. People are excited, and rightfully so.
I know. It's going to be so exciting for next year. It really is. And you were talking, too, about Huff and how they were guarding him. It almost reminded me of whenever the Warriors won the championship back in 2016 in the NBA. Man, whenever they were trying to get Huff open, they were sending 2 or 3 screens of play to get Huff open. And it didn't seem like any of the teams, Creighton, it didn't seem like Oklahoma, dude, they didn't know what to do with him.
Yeah.
And especially whenever Huff had that three-pointer. What do you guys think about whenever he crossed half court and got fouled, went to the line for 3? I mean, 3 free throws to send the game into overtime, man. I mean, that's unbelievable.
I can say that as a coach, that's why I don't have much hair left. That kind of stuff.
I
I need to take my hat off, Coach.
Yes.
Yeah, Gordon's been in that coaching field too.
Yeah.
So you know what the coach was thinking when that happened.
Exactly.
Dave mentioned the money to the donors chipping in. That's kind of the people talk about these tournaments and things like they don't mean anything, but that obviously has a lot of effects otherwise.
Yes.
Right.
And West Virginia really, in my opinion, played a couple of the best games they played all year
Yes.
out there in that tournament.
Definitely.
And I think that gave a lot of people some encouragement. And,
Well, it was almost like not closing out a couple of those close conference games.
right.
I know.
Not making it to the big dance helped us on that.
It did, yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, that was $300,000 winning the crown.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so not only, that's what I was going to say, not only do you get the money from the tournament that you can use for NIL,
Right.
you get your donors that are more fired up and ready to chip in as
Yeah.
well. So helps all the way around.
We got a guy waiting in the wings. Is Mark ready to come in, Darren? If Mark's ready, we got Mark Parsons, I think, on the line.
Mark Parsons, do I know him?
I think you do. If we got Mark there, we can bring him in. I think he said he's in just 8.
Oh, yeah.
There he is.
So we're
Familiar
going to,
voice.
if there's anybody who can handle a panel of 5, this is the guy right here.
Yes.
So you bring in Mark.
All right, Mark, our resident expert. We've got the 2 golden gems.
The gurus.
That's right, the gurus of the Mountaineer football recruiting and the transfer portal with Dave Gorby and Mark Parsons, our good buddy. He's down in Tennessee, but Mark stays on top of all this. Mark, welcome in, buddy. Good to have you.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. Glad to be here.
Well, we're glad to have you, and we've been talking a lot about the transfer portal and the football program. The fact that tomorrow Rodriguez has said is going to be a game, and what do you think? Your thoughts on what exactly he's going to be looking at tomorrow?
Guys, you broke up on me there.
We must have a little bit of a delay too.
I think so.
I was saying tomorrow, Coach Rodriguez has said it's going to be a game. We're going to have a game tomorrow. What do you think he's going to be looking for and looking at in this game?
Well, I think if you want to know the truth, I don't think he's going to show a whole lot tomorrow because I think a lot of people will be watching, as far as our opponents are concerned and so forth. I don't think he wants to show anything. I do think, you get to see a little bit of the new quarterback, Hawkins. I think he'll, let him throw a few things and use his wheels a little bit and showcase the offensive line a little with Cook, as a running back and everything. I just don't think they're going to show a whole lot tomorrow. I think it's just going to be kind of a sort of not a walkthrough, but just a light scrimmage. I think they're going to go quick on the whistle. We've got a couple guys injured. Scotty Fox is injured. They got a Vass, the offensive lineman's out. I wouldn't chance any of that, to get those guys, worse or further injured. I think I'd just be kind of vanilla and just go from there. And he keeps everything close to the vest, and I think that's what he's going to continue to do.
We refer to it as a game. I told my wife it was a spring bonanza, I think is what he called it at one point, because she thought it was like a yard sale. So that's the only way I got her to come up here with me. So now if a football game breaks out, I'm going to be in trouble. But talk a little bit about the transfer portal and the type of job that Coach Rodriguez has done in that.
I think he's done really well, especially in terms of the offensive line. I think there is going to be a big difference there, as noticing as compared to last year versus this coming year. Going to be quite a bit more physical, a lot more experience, and I think that's going to help. As far as offense, as the offensive line goes. Plus, Trickett's back as coach, and him and Rodriguez kind of run a well-oiled machine when they're together. I think he did a good job with Cook, who's a great running back, and I think he's going to lean on him very similar to where he leaned on Avon Coburn back in the day. And I think Hawkins brought him as a quarterback. How that plays out between him and Fox, I don't know. I think they did retool in the wide receiver room. I think they're going to be a lot, as he says, longer. I think they're going to be taller and faster, and I think we have some weapons there. Defense is a little bit of as he says, work in progress, but there's some potential there too. They've got a couple of good defensive backs as well as a couple of linebackers and a couple of defensive linemen that I think people will take notice of. But I do think they're going to have some depth issues there as far as defensive line goes. And special teams, it sounds like they've got a good group of kickers and a punter coming in. They seem to be really high on this kicker from Western Kentucky. I think he's originally from Ireland, so I think he'll be in a lot better shape than we were last year. I think he knows a lot more about what he has as a team than he did at this point last year, and I think that you're going to see just a different team come out in August.
Frank, we got both gurus saying the same thing. The offensive line, physical, bringing Trickett in, it's going to help. So both of them are saying the exact same thing. They made a believer out of me.
Yeah, well, and what they're putting in words is sort of translating, I think, what Rich Rod is saying during his. Mm-hmm. He's using coach talk, but when you think about, I was thinking about this the other day, Dave, when you were talking about on the show a couple of weeks ago, and you had watched one of Rodriguez's press conferences. When you think about the language he used last year compared to the language he's using this year, he's using coach speak, but what he's really saying is we've taken that next step now. And one of the points you made that's so important to keep on saying, he views every single play in practice as though it's a play in a game, and you've got to have that high intensity. And his point is that it's our job as coaches to make sure that standard is followed, and that every practice you get better because we're helping you get better, right?
Yeah. So like you think last year he's still dealing with some layovers, guys that dealt with Coach Brown's. Trying to culture, not that necessarily it was a terrible culture or anything, but like you said, Rodriguez is like that play is the most important thing ever, and nothing else matters, and that's what he's trying to get into. So, and then last year he brought in just say some Jack State guys that got that, and then guys started kind of getting into it, started understanding it, and those are the guys that stayed, And he brought in some more guys that's played for him, that has some connections to him, that understand that cultural building. So there's more of the team on the buy-in, and that's another thing. Like last year, he's they got 100 players right now in that building working. They didn't have 100 players at this time last year, and I think that's a big thing too. That's 15 practices that the team's getting used to, and they've been in that winter the weight room for 7-8 weeks before they start practice. So that's a big thing.
Well, I think there are only 12 players who are going to be coming in between now and the beginning of the season. That simple. Of course, there was a second portal after spring practice last year. There isn't that this year, but you're absolutely correct. Final thoughts, Mark? We're going to bid you adieu. We have other things to talk about tonight, but we appreciate you being with us from Middle Tennessee. Your final thoughts?
Yeah, just talking about his intensity. I mean, I think that's just like bringing Trickett back in here. They want you going full speed on every play, and they want to maintain that intensity the entire game. If you look back to his teams back in the early 2000s, they were all very intense. They played to the whistle, and they were in a lot better shape than most teams we played in that fourth quarter. And I think that's what he's trying to build now. I feel like if he rides these guys hard and they make them work hard. But I was always told if a coach quits getting on your rear end, then he's giving up on you. And I think that's what he's just trying to get the best out of everybody he has, and just make them better. And I think it's a positive. I think that's where we're headed.
Yeah.
All right, Mark. We appreciate you, buddy. Stay on top of it. We'll have
guys.
Hey.
Get some pizza for me in there tonight.
Well, we can vouch for how good the COLASANTE'S food is. We devoured it before we came on. We may fall asleep. We have so much.
I got here late. So.
Yeah, Gorby walked in late, so he's out on the pizza, but we enjoyed it before he got here. So.
And the great thing is Mark's going to be with us tomorrow night at Kelgler.
That's right. Yep. We will talk to you tomorrow night, buddy. Have a good evening.
Sounds good.
All right, Mark.
Have
Mark
a good
Parsons. All right, you too. Mark, I like to call him an insider. He seems like he knows more. He gets more information. I had no idea Scotty Fox was injured.
I did.
Yeah. Little neck, like a little hamstring.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
So there you go. Our gurus, and you, like I said, you feel confident when you hear people that do pay attention and watch all this stuff know what's going on there with the linemen and getting Trickett back and that sort of thing. So that's pretty neat. He said basically the same thing you did, Dave. I know you couldn't hear him, but he said basically the same thing you did about the portal and about who we got in there. So good stuff right there. Frank, while we have just a second, I do want to mention this little plug. My brother runs a place called Aspire Services Center. Aspire is a home for people that are in recovery, veterans mainly is the focus. Veterans that are in recovery, they need a place to stay. They give them a place to live up to a year and a half. They help them find a job and get them employed and try to teach them money management, that sort of thing, get them back out into society and being functioning members of society. And they're having a fundraiser July the 25th down here at Suburban Lanes, which is the bowling alley in Keglers.
Yeah.
And it's going to be July 25th from 6 to 8 p.m. And there's levels of sponsorship that are available, marquee, strike zone, anywhere from $2,000 down to $50 to bowl. They're going to try to have some celebrities, WVU celebrities there to bowl with people. So it'll be a good time for everybody to come out and bowl a little bit and meet some former WVU athletes.
That's great.
And raise a little bit of money for Aspire.
Yeah.
So it'll be a fun time. July 25th, 6 to 8, and I've got all the information here. And I'll give it out tomorrow again. I'll give the phone numbers and all that they can deal with.
Great.
All right.
Darren, is Mary Beth on the line with us? She is. One of the things that we want to do to make a pivot here is, the great thing about having Mark Parsons on is that Mark has helped us incredibly getting guests, Matt. The way we do the program, Mountaineer Locker Room Then and Now, it's always talking about what's going on now, but it's never forgetting what happened before.
That's important.
And he lines up so many so many different guests for us. And another colleague of ours, great friend, Mike Dunlap, did the same thing for us. Both were associate producers, and unfortunately, Mike passed away a few weeks ago. Both Greg and I had a chance to be at his memorial in western West Virginia on the Ohio border not a couple of weeks ago, and we really appreciated being invited and being there. And a lifelong friend of Mike is on the phone, also from Tennessee, Mary Beth Browning, and if you could bring her in, we'll spend a few minutes talking about the great Mike Dunlap, a huge high school star in West Virginia and loved by all. Mary Beth, are you there?
Absolutely.
Oh, she is there.
It's working.
Hi, it's working.
It's working. Yeah. That's great.
We have occasional failures when it comes to technology. Frank and I are technologically challenged, is what we like to say. Mary Beth, it's so great to have you and to be on here to talk about Mike just a little bit. We all love the guy, and he was such a help to us. And we were talking before the show about him, and I said myself, I considered Mike to be a good friend of mine, and I talk to him weekly, sometimes twice, 3-4 times a week. I talked to him a lot on the phone. I only met him a few times, but felt like he was a very close friend of mine, and he just had that persona. He just you immediately fell in love with him, and we fell in love with him and appreciated him. And I know you got some great things to say about him, so I'm just going to turn it over to you and let you go.
Well, thank you. I have to tell you, first of all, what a privilege it is to know that Mike is remembered in Morgantown, a place that meant so much to him.
Yes.
It was a huge part of his life. And, at his memorial service, they had representations of WVU and Polka High School, where we went to school together. Yep. And Mike was so proud to represent both of those places. It meant so much to him. When I first met him, actually, I had just moved to Polka from Northeast Ohio. My parents are native West Virginians and go back 6 or 7 generations, but my dad left. He didn't want to be a coal miner, so I grew up in Northeast Ohio. And I lived in a little suburb where we had a shopping mall and a movie theater and all these things. And when I was in the 8th grade, my parents thought it would be a great idea to move to Polka, which had... You've heard of a one-stoplight town. Polka is a no-stoplight. They're literally, until about 5 years ago when they put one at the high school, there are no stoplights in Polka. So we had complete culture shock to move to this place that had, very little to do. But I remember being in the 8th grade, and they also had us broken up into these little cohorts. So we had classes with the same people every day, and we never saw anyone else until we went to like PE or, lunchtime. And I remember being outside during PE time and looking out on the football field. And you have to imagine Michael in 8th grade was about 6'3", 200 pounds. And so the jerseys that they used for practice only came about to mid-chest. So he had sort of like a half shirt on. And I remember looking out and I said, who is that grown man out there playing football with all these, because he was huge. And somebody said, oh, that's Mike Dunlap. And I was like, what in the world? But we became friends then, and I was super blessed to have been friends with him all of our lives, beginning in the 8th grade.
You talk about him, and Frank mentioned, being known so well here in Morgantown and Polka, and around the state really, and beyond. I was always amazed that any time I would talk to him, he would just call me up and say, hey, I got a good idea for a guest for your show. And I'd be like, okay, who is it? Well, you ever heard of, now you may not know these names, but you ever heard of Denny McLean? I'm like, yeah, the Major League Baseball pitcher. Yeah, I just talked to him.
Everyone.
He knew everybody. I'm like, how do you know these people? He said, I don't know. Another one he brought up was that guy that was on ESPN that when ESPN first came out. Roy Firestone was his name. He said, you ever heard of Roy Firestone? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, I just got off the phone with him. Like, come on, man. Gee whiz. Yeah. But he absolutely knew everybody and not only knew them, I mean, he would call them up, and he
Oh,
had
yeah.
their phone numbers. He knew where they lived, and I spent time with him last week, so it was amazing to us the number of contacts and just people he knew and people that loved him, and when you come up here to Morgantown, I mean, all these former players that we interview and talk to all knew him and all loved him, and so it's just a testament to what kind of person he was, and his whole background and everything just shows out when you hear people talking about him. But I know he loved West Virginia. He loved the Mountaineers, and
Absolutely.
and he we're happy because he got to get on our show quite a few times, and he really enjoyed that. We would have him on the post-game and pre-game shows during football season, and he loved doing that and was so good at it too. And I know when he was in the hospital, when I talked to him several times, I would tell him, man, we can't wait till you get back. We can't wait to get you back on the show. He said, I'm looking forward to it. He said, I cannot wait. So we're glad that we got to do that with him. But the number of people he knew is just it's astounding, really, when you think about it. And I'll tell you one more funny one. I mentioned a fundraiser that Aspire was having. We had one a couple years ago. I was working up here, and he calls me one day, and he said, you still doing your fundraiser? And I said, yeah. And he said, you still looking for stuff to auction off? I said, yes. He said, well, listen, go out to Coach Nealon's house, and he kept on, and in my mind I'm thinking, yeah. I said, Mike, first of all, I don't know where Coach Nealon's house is. And secondly, if I pull up in his driveway and get out and go walk up to the door, I'm going to get shot by a security guard or something. I said, are you kidding me? He said, oh, no, I already told him you were coming. He said, call him up. Tell him Mike Dunlap told you. So I called him up, and he's like, who is this? And I said, my name's Greg Christ. And I said, I got your number from Mike Dunlap. Oh, Mike Dunn. Oh, okay, yeah, no problem.
Did you have Jody phone video the phone call
No,
to Coach Nealon?
I was in Morgantown and in my office, so no, I didn't get it. I don't have proof that happened, but I'm telling you it happened.
Yeah.
But, after he heard, at first he was like, "Who is this guy?" But after I told him Mike Dunlap had gave me the number, he was okay with it after that. So got some nice stuff from him. So that's just the kind of person Mike was. But I know you guys had a great friendship and special relations. What's some of the things that, maybe storytelling time here that you'd like to tell us about him? I know you got some
Well,
good
I used
stories.
to always tease him and call him the Prince of Polka, that he was like.
Oh my gosh.
And he would roll his eyes, and we would talk about things from when we were in school, and we were broken up into those cohorts. So, now, like, I'm a school teacher. My students have to have privacy protected. I can't display things with their last name, even if they didn't care about that in the 80s. We were grouped 1, 2, 3, 4. If you were the highest group, you were 1. And if you were the lowest, you were 4. So Michael was in 2. And this is 8th grade. So we're, 12, 13 years old. For the rest of our lives, Mike would say, if I would, we'd be having a conversation and I would say, no, it's such and such. And Mike would say, well, I don't know, because I wasn't an 8-1 like you. I can't speak to that. Or he would say, I was a 2. Or he would say, well, thank you for still being my friend, even though I'm not as smart as you, because I wasn't an 8-1 like you. But that was always his running joke that he would say. And when we were at his memorial service, I brought my husband with me, and I went to introduce him to some of the guys Mike was friends with. And I said, I started to say these were his partners in crime. And then I said, no, that's not really the case, because Mike always understood he had a lot of eyes on him. He had a lot of responsibility. To whom much has been given, much will be expected. Like, Mike really took that to heart. And I said, so Mike was kind of always the voice of reason, but they were the criminals. And everyone sort of laughed. And I was like, Mike would be there kind of like trying to discourage them from whatever prank they were going to pull. But he was usually not successful, but he would definitely try to distance himself. And I was thinking today, well, actually I thought at the memorial, all the people that were there were, his doctor and people he had worked with in the past and all these different people. And I thought, Boy, I always thought like Mike and I were really good friends, but I don't think I'm that special. 'Cause look at all these people here. All these people here think they were Mike's best friend too, and so maybe I had that wrong. But he had that. He treated everybody the same. I
Yeah.
can't even stress enough how wonderful Mike's parents were and are. Miss Connie, like he knew he had this extra responsibility to represent his family, to represent Polka, to represent WVU, and he took that very, very seriously. That was something that was very important to him.
Yeah, no question. And Frank, I'll say this now that you talk to Mary Beth a few minutes, but I taught in the 80s, I taught in the 90s, and in the 2000s I went to school in the 70s and the 80s. Back then we had 5A, 5B, 5C. It depended on what level you were. You were either an A. If you were in Mike's class, you were in 5B, and I was a B too. So I shouldn't be talking to Mary Beth either. She's obviously smarter than me. So. But it is kind of funny when she said that, because I can remember when I first started teaching, like the special ed kids and those types of things. It was like there was no secrets. I mean, it's like, okay.
No, they didn't care about our feelings.
No.
They didn't try to hide it. You were 1,
That's
2,
exactly
3, 4. That's it.
That's exactly right. They didn't care. You're with these guys. That's what I always heard. Hey, you get over these guys. But anyway, Frank, you want to jump in?
Well, Mary Beth, one of the reasons that we wanted to have you on tonight is not only were you a lifelong friend, but I have never. Well, we can't take that right now. We can't talk. Our next guest called me. That's not a good sign. Any rate, but not only did he have an impact on people because of the way he handled himself, but the responses that people have had, like you, and I'll include myself, I've never read so many what I would call eloquent interpretations of a person and his life than I've read, and you're one of the persons who've scribed that. If you go on Mary Beth Browning's Facebook page, you'll see that with her description of Mike. But you just, of all the people you've met in your life, and you've met a ton, we all have, he stuck out as a very special person. There's no question. And special is not the right word, is it? It's beyond that.
I was trying to think of it on my way home today. I haven't been back to West Virginia actually since the funeral. I go every couple months. All my family is still there, my cousins and so forth. And I was thinking today, I can't even imagine going back and Mike not being there, because he's just so much a part of everything there. I can't even imagine. I think it will feel different without his presence.
Absolutely. We're rearranging here just a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, gotcha.
But to be there and walk around too and look at his awards and all the things he had, those were things Mike would have never shown anybody. And just all the memories of the different things. And it made me remember silly things too. Like we had a pep rally in high school where the cheerleaders dressed up like football players and the football players dressed up like cheerleaders. And to see Mike and the cheerleader that like he could barely get around his way. Like he forget there was no like zipping, like he could barely get it around him. And I remember saying to him afterwards, how in the world are you going to get that off? Like,
get it off.
And he had it, he was telling me, please help me fix my eye makeup. And I was like, well, here's a conversation I never thought we'd have. And but Mike, he didn't care. It was funny, and he was willing to do anything to make people happy.
I wish I knew.
For as great as he was, he had no ego. There are pictures of it in our old yearbook somewhere. I will have to unearth them.
I wish I'd known these stories long ago. I could have had a lot of fun with these. Hey, we got another co-host here with us tonight, Matt Thomas. It's going to ask you a question here, I believe.
Yeah, Mary Beth. So I mean, I know I didn't know him or anything, but there was a couple things that I really, really wanted to mention, especially when you mentioned polka. So
Yes.
there was one man that I used to play basketball against, and I don't know if you're very familiar with him, but his name was Isaac McNeely. I know a couple of the other guys at the table might know him as well. He played basketball, started out at Virginia University, and then went to, I believe now he's playing for the Cardinals down over in Louisville. So, but I thought it was really cool because it shows the character and it shows the type of personality that the people are around Poca. Because the couple times that I went down there to go play, all the kids were shorter. It was crazy to me. On that basketball team, every one of the kids was short. But they still whooped our butts. It didn't matter.
But I bet they played harder than anybody else.
Yes, they did. And it made no sense to me because you look at a team and a lot of people always judge off of looks. They look at somebody and think, oh, they're not going to be any good because they look like this or they're left-handed, whatever the case may be. And that was our persona. We thought they were short. They had no chance to beat us. Well, there's this one kid. Coincidentally, he wore number 30. He comes out and shoots 10 threes against us and goes 10 for 12 from the field from three-point range and kills us during the game. We were like, you have got to be kidding me. So I just wanted to say that because I thought it was so cool how his persona was a lot like the people down there at Poca, and it just shows that community it's just an amazing community of people down there.
I'll say
Mike
this
played
about
all kinds of sports. Like he ran track, he played basketball, things you wouldn't expect for a guy who was 6'3", 200 pounds in the 8th grade.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Athletics in general.
Yeah. Well, and I was going to say, you talked about the people being short and small. Mike wasn't, and but I'm old enough to remember when he was in school and watching his highlights and watching the newscasts about him. I remember him very well when he was in high school, and he was a big guy, but he was an athlete, and he could move for a big guy, and so a lot of people don't realize that about him. What an athlete he was. And you mentioned earlier some of the awards and things at the viewing. I thought it was really neat that they did the urn with the Poca, the football with Poca on one side and WVU on the other side. I thought that was a very nice touch.
Well, that is all Miss Connie, Mike's wonderful mother, and she had.
And we talked to her while we
floral
were there.
She had a blue and gold for WVU, and then she had the red and gray for Poca. And then after the ceremony, she came and gave me the Poca flowers. I have them on my desk.
Very nice. Yeah, we
And
got
Mike
to talk
was
to her.
super proud of that. Even when I teased him and called him the Prince of Poca, he was still very proud of that.
Frank, I told Mary Beth we wish we'd had some of these stories a few years back. We could have had some good times with this. Some of these, I just heard that he dressed up like a cheerleader. They had a pep rally, and
How about that?
football players dressed like cheerleaders, cheerleaders like football players. And Mike jumped in and did it. she says he still hadn't got that skirt off. Still want him. So, Frank, anything to follow up with here before we let Mary Beth get off?
Well, I'm sorry I had to leave there. We were hoping to get a former basketball coach from West Virginia, Coach Ron Brown from New York City, but we couldn't get technology to work just right. But Mary Beth, we're just so pleased you've taken the time to share thoughts about Mike, and the point you made early is so true, and that is that it's so good to know that he'll be remembered, and he will be remembered in the way that he touched people and engaged people, and he was such an incredible networker and always inviting. That's how I got involved. He gave me a call one day and introduced himself and said, "I'm Mike Dunlap," and blah, 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 and it was great, and that started a great friendship that I valued and still value, and I know you value, and great opportunity to meet his mother, Connie, and be at the memorial service and speak. And it's just we just want to thank you for being his friend and being with us tonight.
Well, thank you. This would mean so much to him to be remembered. And a couple of years, I'm a teacher, so a couple of years ago I went to a teacher institute in Washington, D.C., a White House History Institute, and there was a teacher there from West Virginia, and we started talking and just tearing things around, and she lived in Ripley, and I mentioned that I had a friend that lived not too far from there, and she asked me who it was. And when I said Mike Dunlap, she said, "Oh, I've heard of him." And I had to text him immediately. And I said, "So I'm at a cafe in Washington, D.C., talking to another teacher I've never met before who's from West Virginia, and she has heard about you." And he said, what did you order to eat? And I said, Michael, that is not the point. The point is, like, dude,
That sounds
you really
like
are
Michael,
the Prince of Polka. She has heard of you. And he said, "Oh, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
What are you eating? Where are you at? What books have you read? Who are the speakers that you're like?"
That's
He
right.
wanted to talk about all of that. And I said, like, I'm in Washington, D.C., talking to someone else who knows who you are from West Virginia. Like, that's amazing. And he just sort of shrugged it off, like, that happened to everybody all the time.
That's right.
Yep, that was him. And you'd be, I mean, I would say you could go up to 10 people up here and ask, and probably 8 of them would know who he is. But, so, yeah, he's so well known and loved by many. Mary Beth, thank you so much for being with us tonight. It's been an honor for us to talk to you, and so much fun to hear these stories. We loved Mike, and he was such a great help to us. And we appreciate him and always will. And we appreciate you for taking the time out to join us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for remembering him. That would mean everything to him.
Well, we will not forget him. That's for sure.
That's for sure.
That's for sure. Thank you, Mary Beth.
Yeah, blessings, Mary Beth.
We'll find that cheerleader picture for you.
Can't wait. Yeah, can't wait to see it. Can't wait to see it. Take care.
You take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Good stories there. And you know what? When you hear those, I mean, that was just Mike. I mean, we knew Mike pretty well, and those stories just epitomize who he was and what he was and how well he's known. And I honestly don't know that I've, as far as being connected and knowing people, I don't think I've ever met anybody that knows so many people as he did.
Yeah.
I mean, he would just call me out of the blue, "Hey, how about this guy for your show?" And I'm like, "How do you know him?" I'm like, "Well, here, just give him a call." I'm like, "I'm not calling him." Cold call.
And it's so cool, too, because, I mean, I don't even know who the guy was. But it shows you, if you know that many people and you're able to build that many connections, then that person was loved. But not only that, they were a kind person.
Yeah.
Because if you have that many people that know you, they don't know you because they don't like you.
Right.
I mean, if I don't want to talk to you because you weren't a nice person, I'm just not going to talk to you. Yeah. But if you're a kind person and you're someone who's relatable, you're funny, somebody who has a message to speak to everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the type of person he was, just from the persona of the few people that I've known that you guys have talked to from him.
Yep.
So it's awesome. Yep. That's awesome.
Yep, he was an awesome guy, and like I said, so many connections, and he mentioned him being kind. He was a kind-hearted soul. He was just a friendly, and that's what drew people to him. He was just so kind and friendly, and you just, when you talk to him 5 minutes, you feel like you knew him for 5 years. That's just the type of person he was. Well, let's. Darren, can we take a break here for just a second and catch our breath and get organized a little bit? I don't know if he can hear me or not, but we'll take us a quick break. Come back. I don't know what we got lined up next, but we'll figure something out.
We should talk a little bit about baseball.
Yeah, there we go.
Baseball.
We'll go some baseball here in just a few, and see how the Mountaineers are doing right now. Frank's got them on. We're all trying to watch it off his phone, so see what's going on. So we'll be back here in just a minute, and we'll get some baseball action covered. So stay with us.
Good.
We'll be back on the Mountaineer Locker Room then and now.
Very good.
Welcome back to the Mountaineer Locker Room Then and Now. Greg Christ here with Frank Fear, Matt Thomas, Dave Gorby. We're at COLASANTE'S in Morgantown, Westover, to be more precise. And we appreciate Tony for allowing us in. And it's got a nice room fixed up back here for events like this. And we want to encourage everyone to come out and give this food a try. We had dinner prior to this, and man, oh man, is it good.
Yep.
Good food. So come on out and get you some good Italian food here at COLASANTE'S. We highly recommend it, Frank, and we've eaten here a few times and don't disappoint.
Well, a great location, good parking, tremendous staff, wonderful food. Anthony is a great host, and we strongly recommend it. And it's we've had a variety of different dishes here. Pizza's outstanding, pasta's great. What did you have tonight?
I had a calzone tonight.
Oh man! So yeah, it's really, and if you're an Italian, and that's important,
Yeah.
you'll give it an A+, and if you're not an Italian and not used to that food, you'll still give it an A+. So Dave is looking at me like he's getting daggers because he got here late and didn't have a chance to eat yet, but he will.
And Frank, I'll say this though: when you do come in, you just have to remember, sometimes the bull wins.
That's right.
I had to get that in tonight.
That's right. Sometimes the bull wins. You got it.
There you go.
That's right.
I also want to mention that we are live on the New River Network, as well as the Voice of College Football.
That's right.
And we simulcast on both of those. And you can watch this if you have friends that would like to watch. You can go back and watch. It's in the archives anytime after this. So make sure you do that. Make sure you let your friends, relatives know that we're on. And like we like those likes and subscribes or whatever all that stuff is. So make sure you do that as well.
And we couldn't do this without Darren McGuffin,
Right.
who is just does it all, and he's right across from us and broadcasting in 4K on these remotes, and it's just fantastic, good quality, and community service. It's really what it is.
Yep. And Darren is one of the best at it, and
No question.
Does a lot for the community of Oak Hill and the state, really, because we go around and do these shows in different places, and he's got it managed to. You're in Florida, I'm in Oak Hill, our guest maybe who knows where, and Darren pulls it all together and gets us on a show somehow. So hats off to him for all the hard work that he does, and the technology part of it. Frank, we couldn't do this without him. There's no way. No way possible. We want to talk a little bit about the baseball team tonight. They're engaged with the worst team in the Big 12.
Oh, boy.
And so far, it's not looking too good, Frank.
Yeah, they're. Let me pull this up. The last time I looked, it was 5-1 Houston, and but we were talking about the fact. Let me see if I can pull it up here.
I did see Hodge has our last commit there with him. Big Mo's there tonight.
Wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it is 5-1, and it is the top of the fifth, and there's a man on second, and he's got his reliever in, one of his relievers. But we were talking about the fact that West Virginia has done this before. The other night they were down, I don't know what it was, and won a game 12-10 when they were, I think they were down 10-2.
Yep.
And so hopefully we'll get. It's no way to live though with just relying on late inning heroics, and it's really surprising because I was looking at the stats today, and West Virginia is because of the issues with the series with UCF a couple of weeks ago, where they lost 2 out of 3. They're now 2 games out of first place, even though they're ranked 15th in the country, behind Kansas. Kansas swept UCF, which had been in the lead last weekend, and so Kansas is now 2 games ahead of both UCF and West Virginia. And West Virginia pulled off a midweek game this week against Penn State, beat them 3-1, and won 2 out of 3 last week at Texas Tech. And again, you know, they were up 6-5 in the bottom of the 8th, 1 run, playing at Texas Tech, and you're getting nervous about what might happen in the bottom of the 9th, and then they go into the top of the 9th and score 6 runs.
Yeah.
And blow out Texas Tech, win 2 out of 3 games there. So, but your thoughts about this team? I don't want to say they're Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, but you would think a team that is competing for the College World Series wouldn't have these significant ups and downs. Dave, what are your thoughts?
I mean, that's kind of a good description right there, Jekyll and Hyde. Some nights it seems like the runs just keep on coming, and some nights it seems like the pitching is there. Just like it was Wednesday night they played Penn State here in Hagerstown, and for you to go deep, you have to be a little bit more consistent and not sporadic on that. So it's definitely going to be interesting, because the one thing they do keep doing other than the UCF series is they keep winning the series every weekend. So that's the big thing right there. But yeah, they need to get a little bit more tighter on things and see how that goes, because they probably have about 3 more weekend series left before the conference starts.
They play Cincinnati, TCU,
or 4,
and then they play Kansas. So I think there are 3 after this weekend. Yeah, it's tough. But man, I was thinking about this as Dave was talking. And this is a team that is, I think, 3rd in the conference in hitting, 1st in the conference in fielding, 1st in the conference in pitching, ERA below 4. It's now 3.9, I think. The batting average is 3-something, and have the fewest errors by far in the Big 12. To be experiencing these, it's a nail biter.
I mean, sometimes the ball simply doesn't roll your way, but it seems like it happens all the time with West Virginia. It seems like it's every other game. Whenever we're in a nail biter situation or we need a big hit and it just doesn't come. I need to look at our lineup to see exactly how many it is, but I think we've got at least 5 or 6 guys that are batting over 315 on the lineup.
Question.
I mean, they're excellent. I was watching Sean Smith earlier, and he's got so much power in his bat. You know how many home runs he has on the season? 1. I mean, you would think the guy would be able to knock the ball out of the park, but he gets really close, and it'll hit off the back wall. They just can't send it over. So I would like to know exactly how many home runs we have as a team. But I would say we're lower. I know we don't have any guy anywhere near double digits on the season. But I don't know. We do have a good guy, a couple good guys hitting the leadoff as well, and we've got some guys even at the 8 or 9 hole, which, I mean, that's something a lot of teams simply do not have. But we're going to have to find something later on in the year and be able to get those consistent hits. Because right now we'll get a guy on first or we'll get a guy on second, and then we'll leave him stranded. Yep. And we do it all the time, every single game. And that's not a recipe for success.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I agree with Matt. When you look at you look at the scores of these games, you beat Penn State 3-1. Well, your pitching obviously was stellar, but your hitting obviously was not. Then you turn around the next game and you win it, 16-5 8. So your pitching falters a little bit, but your hitting comes through. And like Dave said, you can't, you're not going to survive like that. You got to get it all together, and you got to win games 8-1, and that kind of score. You have those bats going the same time the pitching's going, and it seems like ever since the beginning of the season they've had trouble. Yeah, not really had trouble, but it's just never come together.
Well, there was one, maybe it was the Kennesaw State series or another series. Mm-hmm. They were leading on the Sunday. They were leading like 6-1 or 7-1, like in the like the 8th or 9th,
that's right, and blew it.
They gave it away.
Yeah,
just little things like that.
No, exactly.
And that's a bit bigger stuff down the road too.
That's RPI right there.
Yeah,
I mean.
It's ridiculous. I mean, I know the guy on the mound today, I think he's got a 5.96 ERA. That's one of the few guys that is above that 4 ERA that you were talking about. But, I mean, it's college baseball. Most of the time, if you're supposed to score, I mean, the goal in every team's head is score at least 4 runs a game.
Yeah.
Well, if you're trying to score at least 4 runs a game and your pitching is always lying less than that, you would think you'd be 32-0 throughout the season. But you have all those games that are sporadic. They'll have a game where they allow 0 runs, and then the very next game they'll allow 10. Mm-hmm. Then they'll go 1-8, so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. I don't know. They need to find something to lock in and be consistent.
Yeah. That consistency is the whole thing. I mean, I think they're more than capable of winning the conference, winning the tournament, going to the World Series.
They're number 2 right now.
Right.
I mean, we're doing all this.
Yeah, we're dogging them.
They're still
second.
They're still sitting
15th in the nation.
Yeah. They're obviously a good team. They got a lot of talent. And you just think that if they can put all this together and get everything working at the same time, they're going to be unbeatable. But it's just a matter of consistency right now.
Yeah, I agree. That series with Kansas. Let me get this up here so you can see it.
That's what I was looking up a few minutes ago to see.
Yeah, I think they're out of the 5th. Yeah, they've gone to commercials. So now we're in the top of the 6, 5-1. But that series at Lawrence in a couple of weeks is going to be really critical because they're going to have to sweep that.
Yes.
When you're down by 2, and I think KU is playing at Oklahoma State this weekend. But yeah, exactly. And yet there's a lot of talent. I mean, Gavin Kelly, he's going to be a high draft pick. There's no question about that. And so yeah, it's great. Maybe talk more about basketball too, because my feeling about this, guys, was that when Thomas basically declared for the portal, I figured, well, we may lose one, being on the, there was a high after winning the Crown tournament. And now we're at the point there are only 2 guys left on the roster that hadn't used up their eligibility from last season, just ended a week or 2 ago. And one guy hardly played. So we're talking about the backup guard who had surgery.
Jenkins.
Yeah, thank you, Jenkins.
Amir Jenkins,
Yeah, he's coming back. But I'm not sure what happened, but we're faced with the same thing we've been faced with for the last couple of years, and that is we're gonna start the season with essentially an entirely new team. And I know that's part of the nil era, but Dave, I tell you, that story's getting old.
Yeah, well, so I saw an interesting stat this week. I think it was the Final Four teams. What was the average of what they brought back? Something like that. What would I'm just asking? What would you think? With Jenkins coming back, I think it's like 7% for us.
Yeah.
Now if Mint's coming back, what do you like?
I think the conventional wisdom would be these guys are all veterans, but that ain't the case. I'm thinking of Michigan.
30%.
There you go.
I was going to say 4.
30% was the average between the Final Four teams, and we're a third there. I can't remember what the number would have been if Thomas was, or not Thomas, but Fields.
Yeah.
Since he announced what that would have been. But so it's kind of like it's just a few more players, but I think we just need to find, like with the football team, we're finally in Rich's second year, getting a little bit of stability. That's what the basketball team needs. Obviously, it will never be 100% coming back, but you just need a little bit of stability going on, and hopefully. Well, obviously Ross is here for next year.
That's right.
That's kind of happening now. So we're just in the process.
That's right.
Well, I mean, this is what will it be? Let me see, 4th coach in the last 5 years, or something like that.
It was 4 for 4.
Yeah, 4 for 4.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So with Hodge being in his second year, I think that's going to give us some camaraderie. You're going to have guys that understand the system more. And I know he didn't play he obviously doesn't play the press defense like Huggs did, but still, like they're very physical. It's a very physical West Virginia team, and we had a lot of games last year where I felt like we were still in it, even though we lost them. There's a lot.
The only conference games that we weren't in, were Houston, Texas Tech before what's his name got hurt. Toppin.
JT Toppin,
and then Arizona. All the other games were 10 points and less.
And they blew out everybody else as well.
So I mean, it definitely, it's, there, we just got to get the talent. But that average, even on the teams that make it all the way, 30% coming back, so.
And that's the challenge for coaches now,
Huge.
It used to be that you keep your guys together and hopefully by the time they're seniors, Greg, but what you have now is these coaches have to be able to do the pivot real quickly and build a winning culture lickety-split.
And, Dave, talking about percentages, I saw one the other day that I didn't realize, and that is that 58% of the players in the NCAA basketball get in the portal.
Yeah.
And that's a huge number.
That's insane.
That's a huge number.
Yes.
I mean, you think about how many kids that is. So that's just the nature of the beast right now. I mean, you're going to it's going to happen, and even schools with money, big money, Michigan, they're going to lose them too.
Exactly.
That's just the way it's going to be, and I don't know what the answer is. I mean, I know we've talked about it numerous times. Somehow this has to be reined in, which I agree. Something's got to be done to fix the problem. But as for right now, that's just the way it is. And hats off to Hodges for going out there and getting some good players. I mean, he's obviously signed some good people, and he seems to be a likable coach. I mean, I don't think the players disliked him or anything, and it's just all about the money. I mean, if you're a player, I mean, Frank, think about it. If your son's playing, and West Virginia's paying him $500,000 a year, and Michigan calls up and says, "We'll give you $1 million." What are you going to do?
Yeah, exactly.
What are you going to do? I mean,
I don't care how loyal you are. 500,000 is 500,000.
Exactly. I like you,
and so, I mean, my son had that same issue with a player this year. I mean, they loved the player loved him and them, and loved playing there, but he got offered $1.5 million, so he's gone. He went to Notre Dame.
Exactly.
So, that's just the nature of the beast, and I can't imagine coaching in that. I mean, I think that would be so hard. But on the bright side, where Hodges has been there now, he has time to get in the portal and find what type of player he wants, and he has a certain type of player obviously that he likes. And Matt mentioned the fact that we were in these games, no matter what. That's I told you this, Frank, numerous times. When you play good defense, you're going to be in games, and you just got to score some points. And we were in games because of our defense for the most part. And he's going to get those type of players. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I see people motioning. We got robbery going on.
Yeah.
Come on. Yeah, let's take a quick break.
Talking about basketball.
Just a quick break, Darren, and we'll get situated here.
Good to see you.
All right, we'll take us a break. We'll be back here in just a moment on the Mountaineer Locker Room, then and now.
Yeah, just in time for network. Just in time for basketball.
Let's see, hey. How you doing? All right, brother. How you doing? Looking good, man. Yeah. Welcome back to the Mountaineer Locker Room Then and Now. Greg Christ, Frank Fear, Matt Thomas, Dave Gorby, bringing you the show tonight from COLASANTE'S in Westover. And we have a very special guest that's showing up here, a good friend of ours, good friend of the show. Of course, you recognize the man to my right, Daryl Prue. Daryl, appreciate you coming by. Looking good tonight, man.
Oh, man. I'm glad to be here.
It's always good to see you. Tell us about what's going on in your life right now.
I was coaching at Alcorn State this past year, but things didn't work out. Just facilities, living there, so I just decided to come back home and try to find some work in D.C. area, back in the school system.
You were prior to that, you were a high school coach,
Yes.
and did a fantastic job. By the way, for those of you that don't know, and a tough situation there at Alcorn State that kind of walked into a rough patch here.
Yeah, I should have did my homework before I went. I just left, and I should have did my homework before I went. But met a great group of guys, so we established a relationship kind of fast when I got there. So coaching is coaching. So I didn't lose anything. I didn't forget anything. It was just same thing as before.
Right. And you say looking to get back into coaching ranks. You prefer college? Would you rather do that?
Honestly, I don't know if I want to get back into college. I was just talking to Ren Baker, and it's just the climate of college basketball, college sports, period. It's just off.
Yeah. We were just talking about that before you came in. What a nightmare it is right now for coaches to have to every year, totally revamp your roster and get new kids, learn them.
It's AAU basketball.
Yeah, that's all.
It's AAU basketball at the highest level, and I think it's doing a disservice to the game of basketball and football, actually, all sports.
Yeah, I agree. We've talked many times on this show about what the solutions are. There's some obvious, to me and Frank, there's clear and obvious ways to fix this. Without taking money away from the players and that sort of thing, which I think they deserve. I have no problem with the players getting paid. But there's got to be some ropes put around this thing somewhere to where it's just not a free-for-all every year for players. And we were talking almost 60% of all the players in the country are in the portal, went into the portal.
Yeah,
that's
58%.
Crazy.
Yeah, 58%. That's insane.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, and I think, you can transfer at one time without sitting out, but if you do it again, you have to sit out, then you can't transfer no more.
I agree.
And I think, with the NIL, I think there should be a cap.
Yeah,
there should be a
absolutely.
cap, because if you look at it, it's a equality thing. It's not being equal to, say, schools in the Ivy League.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
It's crazy how if a a coach or someone that worked with the university bought me a lunch when I was young. When I was in college, you would get sanctions.
Right.
Now you're giving these kids millions of dollars. They still don't have to pay for school.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just way off.
Right.
I was talking to one of my friends about that you were saying earlier about the Ivy League schools, and now a lot of the schools will recruit these kids because of sports now. Like, that's the first thing. Like, it's not student athletes anymore. It's athletes. And they're not recruiting them off of their education anymore. And it makes it really difficult for these bigger name schools, or excuse me, the smaller schools that don't have as much money because, I mean, they're being recruited and they look at this and they say, oh, $500,000 paycheck. I can retire my family. My mom doesn't have to work anymore. I can take my dad out of this financial hardship that he's going through. And that's the first thing they look at. And it's not about education anymore.
Yeah, but, 500,000 is 500,000. So, like,
Yeah.
you can't turn down the money. But, like,
No.
again, it should be a cap. And no kid should be making, as an amateur, $500,000. Not 1 year. You know what I mean? It should be a cap. Then you go back to the school the next year and you're raising money up. But don't give these kids. You paying these kids more than they pay the coaches, the assistant coaches, and that's like this. Then you're gonna have to treat them like pros. If they don't perform, what happens? They don't do this and they don't do that. If they come to practice late, you take their money from them. They don't do that. So it's just these agents are not being sanctioned. So how I could call a school and say I'm his agent. And I'll talk to a school and get the money. He might even know how much money he's getting. I just tell him how much he's getting. And they're taking 20%. In the NBA, only taking 4%.
Yeah. One of the things, Frank tests this, one of the things I always bring up is, I don't know, Daryl, if you've ever had a job, or Frank, you've ever had a job where you walk in and they hand you $100,000 and say, we hope you'll do a good job. That's the way this is. I mean, they're bringing those kids in, giving them $1 million, and they've not done anything. There has to be some performance-based ramifications there. Like Daryl said, you can only transfer one time without having to sit. There's got to be a cap on it at some point. There has to be a cap. And then I see no problem with it being performance-based. We'll give you a contract. If you stay here 3 years, we'll give you this. If you accomplish these are incentives that you get. I mean, that's the way the pros do it. You make the the All NBA team, we're going to give you an extra $50,000 or whatever the case may be. But there's got to be some rules placed on it at some point.
Yeah. Well, let's see if the executive order can withstand court tests, because it's going to go through a lot of legal wrangling. But if that goes into place, and you have to complete your college career in 5 years, you can only transfer once. And if you transfer more than once, you have to sit out a year, which is really very similar to the way it was.
Yeah.
That will bring some sanity. But I think what we have here, I think it's a lesson for all of us, is that, if you live a life and it's only focused on money, you're living a very shallow life.
Yes.
The sad thing about it, particularly for someone like myself who spent his entire career in higher education, you don't have to be in higher education is not about grabbing money as much as you can, as fast as you can. And what's happened is that higher education has sold its soul to the biggest dollar. They're now the tail's wagging the dog with the media companies controlling everything, et cetera, et cetera. And so, you really can blame the colleges and universities, and especially the major conferences, for being so self-focused. What they're doing is they're doing everything to drive fans away, because the NFL is the model, and college sports is about as far away, major college sports, is about as far away from the NFL as you can, where the NFL has rules, regulations, standards, and you have to meet up with those or else. And we just don't have it. And so, I don't have great love for legislation through executive orders. Not even legislation. It's just banging the desk by the chief executive and say, this is the way it is. But otherwise, it's not going to happen with the NCAA, so let's just see what happens. But, we have this guy here. And for those of you who did not see Daryl play when he played at West Virginia, or you're not from the D.C. area, didn't have a chance to see, or weren't alive way back way back, and you played in 1936, was it? He's looking really good. In the 1980s for Dunbar High School. This guy could do everything. He could score when he needed to. He could rebound. He could pass. He had tremendous hands. And one of the things that, a number of you know, and certainly Greg and Daryl know, there's a book coming out hopefully next month, True Prue, which really is the story of Daryl Prue's life. And when I was putting together the background for this and talking with Daryl, and I went through the WVU record book, and I said, wait a minute now, I can't believe this. Something like 15 records. This guy played at WVU 40 years ago, right? And WVU played basketball 60 years before that. So you're talking about 100 years. 100 years of West Virginia basketball. And still,
15 records.
This guy is in the top, I think, 15 in like 15 different categories.
In other words, he might know a little bit about what he's talking about when it comes to this.
Exactly. And
you might want to listen to him.
Yeah. It's sort of a Swiss Army knife. The guy could do this, that, and the other thing, depending on what you needed to get fixed. And one of the things that struck me, one guy you played with said, I didn't know how to play basketball until I started playing with Daryl. And he said, I was well coached. He played at the Matha High School, obviously, and this was a great school in the Washington area. Played at Georgetown, and I was well coached. But what I didn't have
Gonzaga.
was a person who was a Gonzaga. Didn't understand me as a player, so that he basically helped me be in the position to know where to be at the right time to get the ball. And he said my scoring went up. And so, there are names like Jerry West and Hot Rod Hundley and so on, but Daryl Prue is right up there, a member of the WVU Hall of Fame, and just it's been an honor to get to know him and to write about him and to just and also experience the philosophy that he lives by and talk with kids that he's touched, kids who've really grown as human beings as well as basketball players. And so it's a life, not only a life well lived, but it's a long book, Daryl.
It's a long book. It's a long book. And, I'm here today because I went to Garrett Ford's memorial, and how the people are talking about him and this and that. But he was instrumental in how I treat people, how I treat my players. Because everybody's not going to like you, but you treat them fair. You there for them and this and that. And I've had players I coached in AAU in 2016 that still call me. And it's, how you doing, Coach? What's going on? Hey, Pops. There's all that stuff. And that's what that's what's coaching about. I still talk to Coach Catlett, and it's been 40 years. It's almost 40 years since I played for him.
Yeah, and it's coming from a coach. I know that's one of the things that means more to you than wins and losses and that sort of thing is when kids come up to you and say, appreciate what you did for me, and I appreciate, the hard coaching. I appreciate this and that. So that's one of the things that makes, coaching rewarding. That's why you should get into it. Obviously I didn't get into it for money because we didn't make any money coaching, but, that's the rewarding part. I was blessed, Frank, to get to watch him play because we're not too much different in age. And I went to college down the road here a ways and used to come up to games a lot. Smooth, man. I always talk about that smooth left-handed J. But I'll tell you what, he was a player, no question about it. And I got the good fortune of watching him play. So I can't wait till the book comes out. Looking forward to reading that. I know it's going to be good stuff. And Daryl, I know you've worked hard on that, and you've worked hard in your career, and coaching is it's a thankless job. You know that, and especially when at any point now. What do you think? I don't know what it's like in the D.C. area as far as the high schools are concerned, but I know a lot of states now allow the NIL in the high school ranks. Have you seen any of that in that area? I know you've been away for a year, but
I haven't seen any yet. And even at St. Charles, there was a guy that he brought in a proposal to me about it, and I told him to wait. I don't know. You have to earn that kind of stuff. I don't know. You just give kids, money. To play a game that they're gonna play for free. They're trying to go to college. Like you said, he's trying to go to college, get an education. It's like, I was telling Frank one time, I said, my record's going to stand for a long time now if they keep doing this because nobody's going to stay longer than 1 year.
Right.
It's kind of selfish, and I'm like, yay, but at the end of the day, it's like there's too many people involved in basketball that's not basketball people.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's good.
And just ruin the game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just ruining everything. Everybody got their hand out. Everybody think they know and don't know. It's like when I went to coach at Alcorn this year, I learned so much more about the climate. I thought I knew, but I learned more being involved in it. I didn't like it.
Yeah,
I just didn't like it. It's a shame that this generation thinks it's okay and it's not.
Yeah. My son is at Winthrop University. He coaches there, and he tells me the stories. Mm-hmm. And it's just like you hear. They want to know how much. That's the first question. Not can I play? Not what do you need? What do you need me to do? It's how much can you give me? And
how good's my education going to be? None of that stuff.
Yeah, they don't worry about any of that. So, I hear it a lot firsthand. And like Daryl said, it's ruined the game. And the game is still good. These teams are good. The players are good. The game is good. But as a fan, from a fan's perspective, watching, it's just like WVU, I still don't know the names of all the players we had this past year,
Sure.
And they're all going to be new next year.
Mm-hmm.
How can a fan even enjoy that? And it used to be like back when Daryl played. If we lost, I was devastated. I'd mope around for 2 or 3 days. And now it doesn't bother me too bad because I don't know these guys. It's not like they're one of us. It's just like they're just coming in for the paycheck and going to do a job and then they're going to leave. And it's not good for anybody, I don't think. So hopefully they can get some ropes around it somehow and get it reined in just a little bit. Daryl, you mentioned you're here for the Garrett Ford Memorial. Talk a little bit about him and what he meant to you.
Garrett Ford was wonderful. A lot of it's in the book too. If he don't pick me up for my visit to come here, he probably wouldn't have been here. They try to put me on those prop planes, and I wasn't, going for that. But, there's a lot of stories. There's a lot of stories. But he came and picked me up from my house, and, he talked. And, as the new words I've learned this year from Frank, the past years, is it wasn't a transactional relationship. You know what I mean? It was a relationship that grew, and it wasn't just me. You look in the room, you see all the old football players from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and it speaks volumes about a person. And they all said the same thing. And it was all said there's a father figure. He helped us with our school. We wouldn't got degrees, but he knew how to figure out the grading, not grading, but he figured out how to help us to graduate. You know what I mean? So it was, he made sure that if you go there, you got to graduate. One guy at finished school came, they put the new rule in the NCAA, came back 10 years later to finish their degree. And like you said, and the people understand, this generation, 10 years from now, when that money runs out and they don't have a degree to get a job, they, what they're going to do. School's not going to pay for it. You was only there 1 year.
Right.
And you made all that money, which, that's why, there was always people paying kids to play at schools that was under the table, and I made sure my group never asked for money, because at the end of the day, if I wanted to come back, they look at you different. And
Exactly.
That's about character. Like a lot of these kids and their handlers and their agents and their families are not showing good character, because it's the coach yelled at me with someone else. Doesn't mean it's going to be good over there. So.
Well, the first thing you said, too, that I loved right out of the gate, you said it wasn't a transactional relationship. Mm-hmm. It was a true, genuine, authentic relationship. Mm-hmm. If you have that with any relationship in life, that's how you know that person loves you and you love that person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's something that a lot of our game has lost.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really sad to see. And the thing is, we have some of the best athletes, not only because of the athletes, but also because of the new technology that's coming in. We've been able to morph these kids into freaking units. Like, guys are having higher verticals than they've ever had. They're able to weight lift and stay away. They're able to be in the weight room and stay out of injuries for as long as possible. We have that now. But everybody's going from school to school to school to school, and they're not able to build that relationship like they did with the player. Like, for example, the first one I think of is Javon Carter. He's the first one I think of. I fell in love with watching him play for WVU when he did. Back in, 2016, 2017, around that era. And it was amazing to be able to watch him for those 4 years at WVU. And then now he's going on and having his own NBA career. And I know not every kid that plays D1 basketball or any level of Division I, 2, or 3 basketball is going to be able to go to the NBA level. I understand that. But it's so important, like you said, for them to be able to build that relationship with their coach, the other players, and even the fans that are watching them, because there's millions and probably billions of fans across the world that watch basketball that they want to see those 4-year players that come into school that they're able to enjoy watching. So, and that's something I hope the game gets back because it's lost right now.
Yeah, it's, Javon Carter wasn't that good when he first walked in the door.
No,
he might not have been a West Virginia level player at that time, but he worked at it. And, like you said, he showed his character. That's what kids don't do nowadays. They don't work at getting better. They want to, if it don't work, I go somewhere else. If it don't work, I go somewhere else. He stuck around, and it worked out for him. And when you do stick around, you do go through some adversity, it'll help him out in the end. And that's what, Javon did. I watched him. I was like, ooh, where y'all get him from? Then, as you watch him grow the next year, I was like, okay, now I see why. Yep. I mean, hugs, sometimes you find gems, but, it's just hard now. It's just because everybody's in everybody's ear.
Yeah. And a lot of kids, too, I mean, I could just tell by the way you're talking that you went through tough coaching. Like, your coaches loved you, but they loved you the hard way. Mm-hmm. They told you, hey, Daryl, I need you to work on this, and you listened to them. And that's why you got better at the game. That's how every kid is. If you don't teach them and you don't give them constructive criticism, then they're not going to grow through the game. It's as simple as that.
Well, you made a key point. I had good teachers. I was a raw player, then someone taught me fundamentals. Then I had another guy in high school who played college basketball, told me what I need to do to be able to play college basketball. This is my first year in high school. So I don't think people are doing that nowadays. They just throw a bunch of basketballs out, a bunch of cones out, they dribble. But they're not teaching how to play, how to do things. I had a guy, and Frank knows, I had a guy this year at Alcorn. He averaged 1 point a game last year. He averaged 14 this year. And he would come, what I need to do now, what I need to do now, what I need to do now. And not too many people will ask questions. Roy Hibbert asked questions. Jeff Green, Luca Garza. I was just having a conversation with his father on social media. And Greg Monroe. They will ask questions. Mm-hmm. A lot of people, they won't ask questions. They think they know. They ask somebody, like you said, oh, you're really great, Johnny. Keep on doing what you're doing. And it's not working for them. Because in each level, Sherman Douglas told me this a long time ago. He said a lot of people struggle because they can't remake their game at each level. Sherman Douglas wasn't a point guard in high school. He was like off guard, 3-man. He averaged 30 points a game. He went under-recruited. He ended up going to Syracuse and become one of the best point guards ever playing in college basketball.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, it truly shows you how much it can do to change a player simply by sticking in a system.
Well, don't get me wrong. It's the coach's fault, too.
Exactly.
Because coaches sometimes don't teach. You know what I mean? Sometimes they just put them in this, okay, this is where you are. You're in this box. This is what I want you to do. And sometimes, okay, they can do this and do that, but the coach don't want them to do that. They won't get better because they can't do the things outside the box.
Yeah, and I don't even want to know. You know how it is. I wouldn't even want to know how hard it is for coaches now to try to keep those players and even try to build those players. Because in the back of their mind, they're trying to promise these kids, like, okay, we're going to give you this, in the recruiting process. And then after that year, it's almost like all that's going away. Not from the coaches, but because they're just going to leave and go wherever the better offer is. And part of it, too, like you were saying earlier, the kids are going to make their money regardless, which I understand and I respect that. But also, character development and being able to discipline yourself for the future is so much more important, because like you were saying earlier as well, money's only going to last for a certain amount of time. If you don't have a skill that you learn, or you don't have some sort of a trade or degree that you get from that job, I mean, 98% of the guys don't go to the NBA from Division I. So,
you talked about players getting better and working on things and becoming certain types of players like Sherman Douglas. A lot of people don't know that Joe Mazzulla led was the top 3-point scorer in the state of Rhode Island, and may still have he averaged like 30 points a game.
Yeah.
When he got it's WU, I don't ever remember him shooting a three, but that just shows the type of coaching. You develop different parts of your game, and you become a player that you should be rather than a player that you want to be.
Well,
I guess would be a good way of saying it. But
that's a great way to say it. I love that.
Yeah, and there's a lot of truth to that. Frank, anything with Daryl? We got to wrap up here. We're getting a little close on time.
Yeah, they're going to close here in a few minutes, and I guess my feeling about it is that I've used this phrase before. We're at the point now that universities don't have football and basketball teams anymore. Football and basketball teams have universities. And that's a subversion of what higher education is about. It doesn't make any difference if you're teaching philosophy or physics or you're in the med school. Your job as a faculty member is to help the next generation of whomever, physicians, grow and develop. And that's what coaches are. They're doing the same thing. But what's happened now is that that's been flipped, and it's going to get worse, because you had the head coach at Indiana University win a national championship in no time flat. You had the head coach in basketball at the University of Michigan win a national championship in no time flat. And every athletic director, president, and boards of trustees members are going to be saying to their people, if they can do it, why can't you do it? Michigan, well, they're a blue blood. Indiana is not. Football, they had one of the worst records. In fact, for a while, it was the worst record of any major. And so I think that we're getting no leadership. And what Daryl I'm bookended here, Greg and Daryl, is that they believed in developing players. And you talked about Garrett Ford. When Kathy Fear and myself came to West Virginia had been integrated for only 7 years. Only 7 years. Before that, the basketball and football teams were 100% white. Okay? And when you think about the game of basketball and football today, and you think about the basketball and football of back in the day, okay? Daryl Prue here was the first major Metro All-American that ever played basketball at West Virginia University. And so he's part of history. Garrett Ford was one of the first African Americans to play football at West Virginia. Daryl was not the first, but he was the first major All-American, Metro All-American, African American to come, and that opens the door. And the story about Garrett Ford, which is great, and that's, as Daryl said, a bunch of the guys got together today to honor him. He passed away, Garrett, last year, is that after he got through breaking records, the first 1,000-yard rusher in West Virginia history, the first 2,000-yard rusher in West Virginia history, then went to play for the Denver Broncos in the NFL. He came back, and he was the first African American assistant football coach in the history of WVU, the first major athletic administrator at West Virginia, and his self-appointed role was people they helped me get to where I was. My job now is to do the same thing for other people, and he did that with Daryl, and Daryl has done that with others, and that to me is a story of what higher education needs to be about.
Yes.
It's people, their lives are transformed by the experiences they have and the people in which they meet, and it's not transactional. It's relational, and we've gotten away from that in a very significant way, and it's it's really a tragedy. It's really a tragedy. So I'll get off my soapbox. It's pretty high.
No, I love it. Well, and I'll make, I don't know, who knows? You guys know I could talk for hours. But one other point I would like to make, too, is I feel like a lot of players, coaches, everybody has lost the purpose, not only in the game but in their life.
Yeah.
If they had a true purpose of what they were doing things for, this wouldn't be an issue. Because if everything in life was transactional, then what would our purpose be in life? Any of us sitting here at the table.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, whenever we die, all the money that we have, it's going in the grave with us. It doesn't matter anymore. But all of us sitting here, we have a purpose, we have a soul, and if we don't fulfill whatever that purpose is in our life, whether it is working, whether it's being in sports, influencing people for the good, if we're not doing that, then what's the reason why we're here in this life?
We need to hear more of that.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So I don't understand why. I believe it's because of the almost hustle grind culture in a way now that we have, which in a way it's not a bad thing because obviously people need to work. They need to go have a job, provide for their family, all that stuff. But you also have to understand that instead of doing everything for yourself and trying to create that life, do it for other people. Find that purpose beyond just yourself and live for whatever it is that your purpose is.
That's right.
So,
well, this generation, what happened is social media. It's all about me. What I look like. It's not about helping somebody else.
Me.
Yeah, it's me.
we could end the show right now and you would be 100% right.
He's talking about being transactional. I had a friend who's a doctor, a multimillionaire, and he wanted to take all his money with him when he died. And he said, I don't care, what we do. He told his lawyer. He said, I want this, $8 million in my casket when I go. No problem. The lawyer wrote him a check the day he died. Stuck it right in that casket with him.
Oh, my gosh.
Wow. Daryl, appreciate you coming by, bro.
I had a great time.
Always good to see you, man.
I rushed over here.
I hope you can join us tomorrow. We're going to be at Kelgler's at 4:30 to do this all over.
He's looking at the balls to see
I see. I got to ask my girl, make sure I'm okay to come over.
She's looking over like,
if she hasn't experienced Kelgler, she hasn't experienced Morgantown.
That's right.
I'm going to take her to get some wings tonight, so she'll be fine. She's a little hungry. We haven't eaten since we left D.C.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you. I know it was tough to get over here because you went to the memorial service and you had to rush your way over here. We appreciate that. And always enjoy talking to you. And I keep up with you on social media and that sort of thing and see what you're doing. And always good to see you and good to hear from you.
Yeah.
Appreciate
it
you.
It was nice meeting you.
Absolutely, dude, man. I'm looking forward to talking ball with you later, man. I can tell the ball knowledge you have and about life, man. It's great, and I'm looking forward to it.
Been through a lot of things, man. Been through a lot of things.
He has indeed. Yes, indeed. And like I said, when he was a player, he was a baller.
Yeah,
he was a baller. All right, that's going to do it for tonight. We appreciate everybody tuning in to the Mountaineer Locker Room then and now here on the New River Network and the Voice College Football. Look forward to coming to you tomorrow night from Kelgler's. Actually, tomorrow evening. I think we'll be there, 4:30?
4:30, yes.
4:30 start, and we should have a lot of former players there tomorrow after the spring festival wraps up. I know last year we were swamped with people, and this year probably be the same. So we're going to invite you out to that, invite you to Kelgler's, and come on by and say hi. We appreciate Anthony Colasante for having us here tonight. Again, great food, great place to be here on, I forget the road name, but it's in Westover. And Frank, appreciate the help from you. Matt, appreciate you wherever Gorby went.
Yes, sir.
Gorby and got back in the kitchen. Fairmont Road, that's right,
Yeah.
Fairmont Road. And we appreciate him for allowing us to be in the restaurant tonight. It's been a lot of fun. We had a lot of good guests and enjoyed talking to all these folks as we always do. And again, Daryl, thank you for taking the time to come by. He was rushed, and we appreciate that. Darren, for the behind-the-scenes work, we appreciate you. And we look forward to seeing you again tomorrow evening at Kelgler's. So make sure you tune in to the Mountaineer Locker Room then and now. Until then, adios.